Knowles on the News. Susan Knowles.
So are you a parent that is really giving a lot of time and effort into thinking about where you want to send your kids to college? You know, it's one of those decisions that a lot of parents make, and it's probably one of the hardest decisions that they make. Sending their child away to college, you want to make sure that they're safe, maybe at a good location, and they get the education that you want them to have. It's especially hard when you have to send them outside of the state in which you live, because you know if something goes wrong, it's going to take even longer before you get there and take care of them. Well, if that's the case and that you're a caring parent who wants only the best for your child, perhaps you should decide to send them someplace else other than the state of California. In California, on October the 10th, it marked the beginning of duck season in California, and that date didn't go unnoticed by Governor Jerry Brown either. Instead of declaring it to be open season on ducks, however, Governor Jerry Brown has potentially just made students in California sitting ducks by officially declaring open season on their concealed carry gun rights on school campuses around the state. Brown signed into law Senate Bill 707, which prohibits gun owners who are legal concealed carry owners from carrying handguns for self-defense onto California school grounds. Additionally, those who have a carry permit and are found in possession of even a single round of ammunition on any school or college campus will be held criminally liable even if they don't possess a firearm. In other words, in an additional absurd move from this sitting governor, even having a single bullet on campus to throw at someone in a feeble attempt to try and protect yourself against a possible gunman, Brown will see to it that you are charged with the crime. In a stance that President Barack Obama would be proud of, it appears that this governor learned absolutely nothing from the recent and tragic shooting in Roseburg, Oregon, in which a shooter killed 9 innocent students as they attended class at a university in a recognized gun-free zone. Oh, but don't worry, California students. Under the provisions of the new law, on-duty police officers or others specifically authorized to assist in an emergency, including law enforcement retirees and even retired police reservists, will be able to carry guns. Brown, in keeping with what he may have learned from watching the Obama administration negotiate deals, garnered support from the powerful law enforcement lobby in California in exchange for continuing to allow retirees to conceal carry and for adding special exemptions, which would allow the retired police reservists to also conceal carry on school grounds. What is ironic is back in 2002, Brown, who was then the Attorney General of California, wrote an opinion to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in which he said that a peace officer and a private citizen were different, but a retired officer was the same as a private citizen, basically, with no law enforcement activities and therefore no need for a gun. How convenient for Brown to seemingly forget his own words and allegedly take away the constitutional rights of some while sparing the rights of others. If you're feeling safer now knowing that on-duty police officers and others will be allowed to conceal carry on school grounds, just remember that the shooter in Oregon arrived at 10:30 a.m., according to reports, which was approximately 15 minutes before law enforcement began arriving at 10:44 a.m. During this 15-minute span of time, 9 people were killed. Had a student or teacher been armed, perhaps those 9 people would still be alive today. One can only imagine how agonizingly slow the time must have passed for those victims who were hoping that they would be rescued by the police. You know, and what happens to those individuals who have temporary restraining orders against stalkers or people who are victims of domestic violence and choose to protect themselves by carrying a concealed weapon on school grounds? In 2010, San Diego City college student Diana Gonzalez's body was found in a bathroom on the San Diego, California campus. Her husband, Armando Perez, was later charged with her murder. Gonzalez had a restraining order against her husband, but according to reports, he was apparently lying in wait of his wife as she attended college. One has to wonder whether Gonzalez, who was a new mother and studying to become a nurse, would still be alive today if she had been legally carrying on campus. Brandon Combs, the president of Firearms Policy Coalition, said, "This is not just an attack on our Second Amendment rights. It is an attack on the most vulnerable in our society. Victims of domestic violence and stalking, Judges, prosecutors, and public defenders who have a carry license will now have to leave their registered self-defense handguns at home when picking up their children at school, leaving them without the necessary protection from violent crimes. Brown, who in 2011 admitted to owning guns and participating in duck hunting, has not specified whether or not he carries a concealed weapon. Even though Brown is a gun owner himself, though, he is no stranger to signing anti-gun legislation. In October 2011, Brown signed 3 anti-gun bills into law, which allows the California Department of Justice to retain copies of sales records for rifles and shotguns, prohibits the open carrying of unloaded handguns in public places, California Department of Justice to use firearms sales fees to fund programs to disarm convicted criminals and the mentally ill. Brown signed additional gun control bills in 2012, 2013, and 2014. Now, while a number of these gun control laws go unchallenged, this time the Firearms Policy Coalition plans on filing a lawsuit against the state because they had sent 40,000 letters from their members and supporters urging Brown to veto SB 707. They're also asking for donations. Now, in case you don't live in California and feel this doesn't really concern you, did I mention that Brown was recently touted as the second best choice for presidential hopeful should Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton have to drop out of the race for any reason? Scary thought, huh? Well, we've had Brown forever, and this is his last term. And it is obvious to a lot of people that he has been eyeing the presidential race. So, just when you think that it was safe to go back in the water, it really isn't. And if you're looking for a college, I hear Texas isn't a gun-free zone. Until next time, Susan Knowles with Knowles on the News.